Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nanette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Hello and welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast. I'm Brad and I'm here with Nanette, the Mormon Medium.
Hi. I just found this great quote on gratitude. I found it a couple weeks ago, actually, and I tucked it away, wanting to talk about it because I thought it was just such a cool little nugget. But let me explain gratitude to you. It is the remedy to loneliness.
Would you share that quote with us, please?
So this quote explains gratitude.
Well, wait a minute. Before that, who is it from? Who are we quoting?
I believe the author is Suzanne Geisman. She is a psychic medium that I follow that I just think is fantastic. And she has a lot of the same types of belief systems that I have and has learned things and even says some words that I've learned from Spirit. So my ears kind of perk up and I'm like, wait a second, that's a phrase that Spirit taught me and now Spirit's taught you. So it just resonates
That's
with
cool.
me. Yeah, so I really like her. But she says, let us explain gratitude to you. It is the remedy to loneliness, the antidote to imbalance. Why? When you bring to mind that for which you are grateful, no matter what it is, the body secretes chemicals that cause you to feel a certain way that you know as pleasurable. You recognize this pleasurable state instantly, for it is one of the innate aspects of the soul, your true nature, the essential part of you that you carry with you whether you are in a body or not. It knows this feeling. You label it gratefulness. We know it as a vibration of the highest order. Seek gratefulness when you are out of balance and you will instantly transport yourself into a home state. I love that.
That is a great quote.
Yeah.
So tell me, how do you interpret that? What do you get from that? And why do you think it's great?
I think it's wonderful because, like I said, gratitude, love, and abundance are the same frequency. And so love is ultimately, the bottom line, is the most powerful force in the universe. And when we are grateful, it takes us home because it's love. It is total love. I just love it. And it really does work. When I was at my very most lonely and in my darkest places, that gratitude journal brought such light and I felt love.
Wow. I see your eyes starting to well up.
Knock it off, Brad.
Are your eyes welling up?
No.
Are you going to cry about it?
Are you going to cry about it?
You going to cry about it?
Are you going to cry about it?
I might have.
Mr. I Cry at the Disney shows?
I cry at everything. Just because I have a heart. Why would you judge me for that?
I don't judge you at all. I think you were just beautiful.
You know, I really appreciate you being vulnerable like that, though, for a minute. That is super important. And do you know what? It's amazing that you were able to have that experience, and it makes me kind of want to keep a gratitude journal.
You want to keep a gratitude journal?
I said I kind of want to. I didn't say...
I'm in utter shock right now.
You know, for a while, I was actually really good at journaling for a while. It was very therapeutic for me.
How come you stopped?
I don't know. Same reason everyone else does. You get involved in something else or distracted or busy, or you go, yeah, that sucks. Or you read back some of the things and you're like, oh, holy shit, did I really write that? I don't know. It just was one of those things that stopped happening.
Can you make it happen again?
Make it happen however you want, baby.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I think it's really important, especially if we're going to be creating things in our life together. We both need to be vibing the same, right?
True. Oh, yeah, excuse me.
Brad's been working his second job. He's a stripper, and so he just stays up all night long at the bars stripping.
Yeah, that's what you put on my profile on the webpage. Thank you. And next on stage, we've got Cinnamon. Put your hands together. He's not got red hair, but he's spicy. Thanks, honey.
So we have this little thing that we joke about all the time. So when Brad and I were first dating, I got in his car and he had literally cinnamon everything. Like a cinnamon Jolly Ranchers and cinnamon Dentine, and like he always smelled like cinnamon. I'm like, what is the deal with cinnamon? Like cinnamon Altoids and cinnamon. I think he made out all the time in cinnamon. But I asked him, what's up with all the cinnamon? And he goes, it's my stripper name. And it's stuck. And I use it every day now. I absolutely cannot wait when we meet brand new people and they're like, hey, Brad, so nice to meet you. So what do you do for a living? I'm like, he's a stripper.
Yeah, before I can even say anything. In fact, it's so natural to me now. I just went on a work trip. And I went to Toronto, and that's a whole different story, right? Because it was a shit show. But anyway, I'm coming from Toronto back into the States. I'm going through all the custom stuff, and I'm standing at the TSA agent, and he looks at me and goes, what was your purpose of being in Canada? I said, I was here on business. And he looks at me and goes, what do you do? And it just came out. I'm a stripper. He pauses. And he looks at me, and then he kind of looks me up and down like, you're full of shit, dude. And I just laughed, and I'm like, no. But my wife, every time I travel with her, tells everyone that I'm a stripper. So it just comes out, I apologize, I don't strip. And he thought that was the best thing that happened to him all morning long. I mean, I think I made his day.
And
so
what's your tagline? Brad, what's your tagline after that?
We have a body for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a little rotund right now.
There's more of you to love, baby.
Thank you. I'm glad you think that way. So, yeah, the whole cinnamon thing has really taken off with Nan and I for some reason.
At one point, we were on a date at a restaurant up in the mountains, and they had asked what Brad had done for a living, and I told him that he was a stripper. And so they kept sending a different waitress over. And I said, if you guys clear out this whole back room, Brad will do a lap dance for you. And so they kept trying to make people leave. And this is a big steakhouse, like getting people to leave this back room. And all these different waitresses kept coming over and meeting Cinnamon. And
it was awkward.
So funny. It was so funny. And thank God for Brad that they didn't clear out the back room so he didn't have to pay off. But as we were leaving, all of them were hunched in a little circle and they're like, bye, Cinnamon, to him. It was so funny. I was just about peeing my pants. It was so funny.
Thanks for sharing that, Nan.
You're welcome, babe.
You know, I will say that this is a much more entertaining and higher vibing portion of the podcast than when we were talking about Mormon funerals.
Yeah. But you know how great that would be to be at a Mormon funeral and have shit flying all over? That would be bad.
And have it be a haunted funeral.
That would be so cool, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I like when the person is celebrated, right? We celebrate their life. We talk about the great memories we had. People get to mingle and hear stories, or, you know, if you're going to have speakers, tell some great stories. Tell who the person really was. Like, we always focus on, they were such a spiritual giant. They read their scriptures every day. They went to church every Sunday.
Well, the people that really know them are like, uh-huh.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear that. No one cares.
No.
Really, no one cares about that. What they care about is the time that they went to the golf course and they had to golf in a pair with the guy who was on the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And every time they missed a drive, they would swear. And then pretty soon they started noticing that this person, you know, would grimace. And so they would change it to, instead of Jesus, it would be Jeezo Pizzo.
That's a great example.
It's a good example. I actually heard that story at a funeral once, and that was way better than hearing he read his scriptures every day.
Right? Why do you think it is that religion defines someone? It's almost like a job defines them. You know, being a cop defines you too. But why does religion define you?
Well, let me ask you this. If someone, when you were
You don't get to ask a question to a question.
Oh, yes, I do.
No.
Jesus did it all the time.
That was a parable, and you are not
No,
Jesus.
he always
Cinnamon,
asked.
answer the question.
No, he always asked a question to a question. He answered questions with questions continuously. So when you were deep in the faith and somebody said, "Oh, what religion are you?" What did you say? Did you say, "I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints"? Or did you say, "I'm a Mormon"?
Well, the name of my podcast is The Mormon Medium. So what do you think I said?
But what did you say?
I
You
would
said,
say I was a Mormon.
exactly. I am this, or I am that. I am Catholic. I am
I know,
Jewish.
but why do you think we do that?
Mormon. Because I think as humans, we like to be a part of a group.
But
right?
I don't do that now. I'm not Mormon or active at all and don't believe. So when someone asks me who I am, I don't ever say I'm Mormon, or I don't even tell them what I do.
That's because you have learned to define you through actually who you are, not what you do. And you brought it up. The cops do the same thing.
Cops do.
They say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I am a cop," or "I am a police officer," whatever you want to say. Some cops
and
get bent
most-
out of shape at that. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
I'm not a cop. I'm a police officer. Whatever, dude.
Exactly.
You're a cop. Get
Yeah.
over it. But yeah, I think people get their identity wrapped up so much in what they do or a group they belong to that they forget that they're still a very unique individual with some amazing talents and skills all on their own without that association.
Do you think it's because people want to belong to a group? They want to be, part of a flock of people or sheeple. And when you break away, because I've noticed with a lot of my clients that have broken away from religion in general, it's different religions. So not just Mormon religions, all religions. I've seen a little bit of everything. People break away from religious belief systems and then they start to figure out who they are as a spirit and, what they're going to take with them when they go to the other side. What does that really look like? Am I borrowing my grandma's belief system or is this really mine? And they break it down to, okay, here's the basics that resonates with me, and this is what I'm taking. Why is it?
Well, I think it's, like I said, it's very natural. Humans want to be a part of community. And I think that is a very real loss that needs to be addressed, right? When people leave a church organization, there is a loss. There is very much a mourning that takes place because there is something that's lost, right? So much like when our loved ones pass away, when we lose that religion in our life, a lot of times there's that feeling of loss. And it's important to have a community to help you through that because a lot of people, especially if they leave religion and they're like, "Oh, I'm really into this whole spirituality thing and I believe there's life after death still." That's hard to find like-minded groups sometimes.
It's also a subject that's not easily talked about.
Very true.
It's kind of taboo to talk about stuff like that. And, as you were saying all that, my thoughts went to the one common thing that we all have in amongst us all is that we're all spirits. We're all connected. We're all one. So it doesn't matter what our religions are. It doesn't matter any of that. Like wherever our pathway or our journey takes us, it always keeps us connected to each other. And we should see each other as that.
Yeah.
We belong to the human race. That is what we belong to.
Well, there's a movie that I really like that emphasizes that. And you might have seen it before. It's about a group of kids who get sent to detention, and they're from all different walks of life. And
Are you talking about The Breakfast Club?
yes, look at you.
We hang out way too much.
I wanted to see if you would pick up on that. But yeah, I mean that's a super rudimentary analogy for it, but really that's what it is. It's they took that moment to see who each other actually was and realized they had more in common than they really thought. They had more in common than they had different.
Yes. And I think that is what we've got going on around us. I think there's so much fear going on that we forget to look at what we do have in common and approach each other with love. You know, I would love to see everybody just come together and unite in love and stop being so hard on each other. Stop being so judgmental. Stop being gossipy. Good heavens, don't be gossipy.
Yeah. Do you know what? There's a story about gossip. You want to hear it?
I do. What do you got?
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay. So I don't know if this story is true. I don't know anything about it, but I saw it on social media. So I'm sure it's very accurate.
It's gotta be
and
true.
Very full of facts, right?
Yeah.
So the way it goes is in ancient Greece,
Ancient Greece.
Socrates was standing teaching a group of students. And at the end of his lecture, someone came up to him and said, "Teacher, do you know what I just heard about your friend?" And I don't know what the friend's name was. Doesn't really matter. And Socrates said, "Well, wait a minute. Before you tell me, I am going to test you. And I would like you to test the statement that you're about to give me." And this guy's like, "Whatever, dude. Okay." So Socrates says, "Look, we're going to test this through 3 sieves, right? Kind of like a 3-legged stool, but it's 3 sieves. So,
3 sieves.
So what a sieve is when you are cooking, sometimes you will sieve your flour, like when you sift it through a sieve.
Yes.
So essentially the sieve will pull
Separate.
out and separate larger particles from smaller. So what he did first, he says, "Okay, now before telling me anything more, I want you to think about this. Is what you're about to tell me true?" "Well, I don't know." "So you don't know whether what you're going to tell me is true or not?" "No, I just heard it." "Okay." So the next sieve is a sieve of kindness. So in the sieve of kindness, I'm going to ask you this. Is what you want to tell me about my friend kind?" Oh no, not at all. It's definitely not a kind thing about this person. And so Socrates said, "Well, you want to tell me bad things about him, and you're not even sure if they're true, but maybe you can still pass the last test, right? The third sieve is that of utility, meaning, is it useful, right? Is this going to be something that's useful for me to know or that I need to know about my friend?" Well, the answer is not really. It's not really useful. It's just, a juicy piece of gossip that I wanted to tell you about. So Socrates basically ended up concluding that, now, wait a minute. So what you're going to tell me is not true. It's not good, nor is it useful to me. So why then do you want to tell me this? And ultimately, look, gossip is a bad thing, right? And that's what he was getting to, is it's not a useful thing to do. In the beginning, some people might think, oh, gossip's fun, and I like to talk about this or that. But in the end, it literally fills our hearts with poison and bitterness. And it is something that's contagious.
So our social media and our news media gossip a lot.
That's a good point. Do you remember when the news was literally just the news?
Yes,
Like they
it was
would get
just
up
the
and
facts.
tell you the news. Here's the news.
Yeah, when people actually
Hello,
had
I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'd like to read you the news.
when people actually had integrity.
Yes. And it seems like it's become more sensationalized, right? Because, hey, the more clicks they get, the more money they make.
So it's all about greed then.
Definitely about greed more than integrity.
That is incredible, because you can't take the money with you, but you take your lack of integrity with you. That sucks.
Valid point.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to come redo that and, pay that karmic debt off. That's not okay. But I guess some people have to.
It's all karmic debt on the person who is delivering it? Or do you think there's some karmic debt also on people who buy into it, who should know better?
I think it goes both ways.
Yeah.
It definitely goes both ways. Yes. Everyone that is involved in that kind of stuff is held to a level of integrity, and if they choose not to have that, then that's part of their karma. So on my social media, I saw some images that really bothered me. So I know what took place with the transgender person that went into the Christian school and killed 6 people.
It was horrible.
Absolutely horrible. yeah, our thoughts and all positivity go out to those families. I just feel for them. I don't even have words. I wish there's something we could do. But I have to say, you know, I was seeing pictures of this person that did this shooting, pictures of their body laying there, and people were happy about it. And my heart hurt because that was still a spirit, that was still a soul. And I'm not saying what they did was right or wrong or indifferent. I'm saying that it's sad that there's such a lack of integrity with social media, with the people that follow it, the people that forget to speak truth and speak kind and speak lovingly, and also with our news media. You know, they sensationalize things because everything's about money and about greed. When we're talking about living human beings that, you know, died. 6 people didn't die, 7 died. And you've got all these families that are mourning, and it's not okay. There are no winners.
Well, and it makes you wonder what could have been done to prevent that, right? Is there a lapse in our mental health community that could have changed that if they had acted on something, or was there a clue or some sort of an indication that this was going to happen?
You know, those questions all have come to mind, but you know, we'll never find that out if we're going to be standing around the Coliseum cheering because somebody was just killed. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think we need to take our blinders off and look at things and look at how toxic our society is, the toxic ways that we treat each other and the way we judge each other.
I was one of those people in the Coliseum cheering that day in January.
You know what? I was too, but as I've healed, I still see souls, and my heart, I still have compassion. And I'll tell you this, during the murder trial that our family went through, I won't say the guy's name that actually killed Corey. I won't speak his name ever. But his uncle came from Mexico and had a message from his mother. So this guy's mom. I was put into a room with the uncle, and he was so humble. He was so kind, and he cried, and he said that their mom was so sorry, that he came from a good home, that he was loved, and that he was a good person. So in my mind, I thought, well, how do you get from being such a good person and so loved to murdering someone? And it's all fear. It's all ugly, ugly, ugly fear. And it blew my mind, because here I'm hugging this uncle of the guy that murdered my husband. And I also became friends with the girl who's in prison right now with her dad and her grandma. I mean, there are no winners. Nobody is cheering this on, and no one should. No one. Everyone lost that day, and it's all about choices.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't be pointing our fingers down at other people.
That's a very good point.
Looking inside of ourselves and being like, why am I cheering because that person is laying dead on the ground? Like, that's not okay.
Well, and I think it's hard to have that mentality sometimes when you go, oh my gosh, this is street justice. This is immediate justice, right? But you're absolutely right on, because there is another human on the other end of that. That was a person with family who loved them and cared about them and are broken because of what that person did. And now they're even going, well, could we have changed it?
Yeah. What did we not see?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. The guy that murdered Corey, when I found out that he was killed, I was so relieved. I had to see pictures. I wanted to know that he was dead. And I also wanted to know where his body was. They were harvesting his organs. And I know what that takes as a respiratory therapist to harvest those organs, and what the body has to go through, and all the work that the team has to go through to do these things, and the gift of life that is being given. It's a big deal. But in the other sense, it's still a human being, you know. And one of the big lessons the day after we buried Corey is our little grandson, when he came out, and he said that he saw Papa, and Papa told him that God is fixing him, the Heavenly Father's fixing him, that he's not mad at the man that that killed him, that was a big deal because we're talking days later and he's not mad at the man that murdered him. So that means there's some kind of love and forgiveness and a transfer of energy that happens where there's peace. And I just can't help but think when all these things happen that we just need to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think we can all be more compassionate, right? I think we all can get calloused at times. I mean, we're inundated by murder and mayhem and death in every show we watch, right? All around us, in the media, in the social media,
all the time,
everywhere.
Yes.
And look, I love like whodunit murder mystery podcasts and movies and TV shows.
Me too.
But it leads to the question, am I calloused because of it? Have I undergone an emotional or spiritual damage because of those things?
I think each one of us individually have to ask ourselves that and kind of keep ourselves in check, because you don't want to become calloused. You want to still see the goodness and the love and that they're a soul, you know, kind of try to understand their perspective, because everything is about perspective, right? So I don't know. That's just what hit me today. I just was like, oh, I don't want to see this picture of this dead person laying there and everybody's chanting and raving about it. That does not resonate with my soul or my heart at all. And I know what the person did is heinous. I understand that. Believe me, I know what heinous is.
Well, and to stop it, there really wasn't another option to stop it. From a law enforcement perspective,
no.
Those cops took care of business and they did what had to be done to prevent the loss of further lives.
1,000%. And they are heroes. But think about what those officers have to think about for the rest of their lives going through that.
Yep.
Like, there are no winners. Society is just so toxic and twisted, and we somehow need to get out of the nosedive.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it because we have too many guns in America?
No. Heavens no. I love guns. Everyone should own one. Everyone should practice one. They should be completely familiar with it. Yeah, they're wonderful things. Guns do not kill people. People kill people.
We just lost like half of our spiritual following. All the hippie dippies are like, you guys are horrible.
We live in the Wild West, people.
We do. Look, I was in law enforcement for years, and I'm a big believer that if you educate yourself about something that is scary to you, it's not so scary. And if you educate people about guns and you educate yourself about them, you learn a lot. Like, they don't just go off. You know, they go off because somebody is violating safety rules.
True.
They don't just kill people. They're a tool, just like a knife, just like a car. So there's a whole long discussion we can have about that, man.
It's so true. And here's a thought, even along those lines. You know, you've got all of these mass shootings and stuff. If there were more people that had guns, how many less people would have died? You know, I know at my son's school, the Utah County Sheriff's Department puts on a teacher's academy, and they teach these teachers how to deal with
active shooter.
Yeah, an active shooter. Thank you. An active shooter, and what to do with their students. They're usually concealed carry permit holders, and they know what they're doing, but they're trained to be able to aid police officers and getting the kids out and protecting them. I think we need that. Or, you know, the billions of dollars that have been wasted by our government, why not put SRO officers protecting schools and places like that? Like, I mean, we could have spent so much money doing something else, but I think our society's broken, and bottom line. And I think that the only way we're going to heal things is by seeing each other and starting to help each other heal. There's a lot of mental illness because people want to be loved, they want to be accepted, and they want to belong. And if they don't have those things, there's a lot of fear, and they start to find groups of people that feel shitty too.
100%. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Thanks, handsome husband.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Mormon Medium Podcast. We love your support. And don't forget to buy us a coffee.
What does that look like, Nan? How do you buy me a coffee?
Fuck if I know.
I know. All right. So here's the story. She's not lying. You can support the show through the Buy Me a Coffee website. There's actually a link in the show notes. Just go ahead and tap on that and feel free to donate. And if you do, you'll get a tarot reading from Nanette Ride, the Mormon Medium.
They're super fun to do. And if you have any questions for your tarot reading, make sure you put that in your notes.
Yep. Make sure to like and subscribe to this podcast. And if you've loved it, give us a positive review. It really helps. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a fantastic day.
The most of tonight. Before